Hello and welcome back to the Love Cafe, week 2 of our exploration into Oktoberfest. I hope you're all doing well and I hope you enjoyed last week's episode on pretzels. Today we're travelling to the home of Mercedes-Benz, Bosch, the Cuckoo Clock, or Cuckoo Clock. Anyway, we're going to Stuttgart. Stuttgart is the capital of the Baden-Württemberg region. I hope I did justice to that, which is home to today's dish, Spätzle. Let's go. Spätzle? I barely knew it. Classic gag. But for real though, what is Spätzle, or Sptzle as it's sometimes pronounced? Spätzle is tiny little egg noodle pasta thingies, which is the best way I can describe it as without showing you right now. It's a very popular Swabian food, which is the region that encompasses both Baden-Württemberg and Bavaria. I know another location name, we started small and now we're expanding. You also find this food in bordering nations, Austria and Switzerland. So for our iteration of it, what do we need? Your celebratory Oktoberfest lager, flour, egg, a couple tablespoons of milk, butter, parsley, and a bit of salt and pepper. You're also going to need some kind of Spätzle maker. This is my one. You don't need one of these, but more on that shortly. Lastly, get your apron on. Alright, for our Spätzle, let's finally get into it. To make our Spätzle, we're first going to go into a bowl 70 grams of flour, which is about half a cup. Add our egg and a couple tablespoons of milk. That's probably only a tablespoon, I'll need more. Whisk it all together until it forms like a pancake batter. We're going for a texture and consistency a bit thinner than pancake batter, but much thicker than crepe. Something that drapes then falls off the whiskey is a good consistency. Add in your salt and pepper, and it's about good to go. This recipe comes courtesy of J. Kenji Lopez Alt, a chef from the US, and I'll link his video for you guys to see as well. In terms of the parsley and the butter, that's for later on when we're making our Spätzle to serve up. It's a very, very, very basic way of doing it, but a way of doing it nonetheless. At the start of making this, get a pot of water boiling. So while we wait for our water to boil, we'll just cut up some parsley. And now we play the waiting game. Well, the waiting game sucks, let's just cut to it. So the water's boiling and we're ready to get our Spätzle in. Now I found out that this thing is called a Kuchenprofi. Hope I did that right. Spätzle maker, so it's just like this board with holes in it and then a slider where the batter goes in. And we're going to push the batter across the holes so that it falls into the water. Before we start this, I'm just going to heat 2 tablespoons of butter in a pan on medium-low heat. We're getting the batter into the Spätzle maker. So as I said with this, you can also use a colander or steamer. So long as you're pushing the dough or the batter against some holes, you'll get the required shape. So a few minutes in the pot boiling is fine. Then we can take it out and put it in a bowl. Make sure you get as much water out of it as possible. And you'll see it looks like tiny little pasta balls, maybe even little swimmers. And while that cooked, our butter became nice and brown, so that's ready to cook up. I think this looks a lot browner on camera, but anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to get our Spätzle in the pan. Which was a lot hotter than you anticipated. Toss it around. Then get your parsley in there. Incorporate that. And we're about ready to serve. In serving up, this is about as tasty as brown butter and parsley, so it's certainly not offensive at all. However, that being said, when offering it around, you probably won't get that many takers. I reckon we can jazz it up with a Mornay sauce. No, that's Monet. How would you even make that into a sauce? Anyway, so for that, we're going to need flour, half a cup of milk, cup of cheese, and butter. Firstly though, we need to make our Spätzle. You guys know how it goes, right? Half a cup of flour, egg, milk, bit of salt and pepper, whisk it together. Nice. Alright, fantastic. Our Spätzle batter is ready, and while our salty water is on the stove boiling, I think it's a perfect opportunity to make our sauce. So why don't we head over to everyone's favourite appliance, the stove, and we'll get that sorted. Ah, welcome. Thanks for joining me at the stove. Like you had a choice. Let's get started on our Mornay sauce, and if you haven't figured it out by now, it's just a fancy name for cheese sauce. In a pot we're going to make a roux, which is equal parts flour and butter. I'm doing 1 tablespoon of each. Once we've cooked that down and combined it, we're going in with half a cup of milk. Once again, mixing to combine. And then our cup of cheddar cheese. Now Mornay is traditionally Gruyere, and since this is essentially going to be a Spätzle and cheese, or replacing mac with Spätzle, we're adding cheddar. Don't forget salt. That looks nice. As our cheese sauce is finished, would you look at that? Our water's boiled. Science. For all you kids out there without a Spätzle maker, this one's for you. You'll see what I'm about to do here is essentially what we did with the Spätzle maker. So we're just pushing the batter through the holes in the colander to create little shapes that resemble Spätzle. Whoop, we lost a bit. Make sure you keep tracks on where all your batter is. Maybe when you do this at home, just do a little bit at a time. You've got batter going everywhere. Check out this monstrosity, which I'm just going to cut up. So roughly 3 minutes later, our Spätzle is finished cooking. So let's get it out of the pot, and once again shaking off as much water as we can. There you go. Our final step is to mix in our sauce, so I'll take you back over to the bench and we'll finish it off. Okay, so all we're doing here now is getting this into this. And I'll tell you what, that looks like Spätzle and cheese to me. Let's serve it up and give it a taste. Oh, ooh. I reckon that's going to get more takers than the one we did just before. Well, let's find out.
That's actually good.
Great success! And thus concludes the end of our second Oktoberfest episode. What are you still doing here? Another recipe? Oh, crikey. Alright. The only other thing that you're going to need, by the way, is an onion and some more cheese. But first, Spätzle batter. Surely you know how it goes by now, right? Flour, egg, milk, salt, pepper, whisk. Adjust. Lovely. I guess at this stage I should also mention that what we're actually making is Schwabian Käsespätzle, which is basically just layered Spätzle and cheese with onion in between. And before we move on, let's cut up our onion, which is going to be caramelized. Okay, so into a pot or pan, I'm just going to throw our onions in, hit it with some salt, and actually a bit of shug too. Oh, cheeky bit of shug. Put your lid on. She's good to go. While you're caramelizing your onions, preheat your oven to 205 degrees Celsius, and towards the end of caramelization, get your pot of water boiling. This time around, we're using what I so eloquently described as just a steamer before. This will go on top of our pot, and then just squeeze it through the holes, or push it through the holes. Try and keep it off the heat as much as you can so it doesn't just cook the batter. As you can see, it's done a bit here. Yeah, so I regret reading about that method because that method sucked, and as you can see, I just ended up using my makeup. So stick to that or get yourself a colander. Okay, 3 minutes, shake, bowl, and we're done. Well, not quite. We still have to assemble, but at least our mise is en place. First thing you're going to want to do to construct your Schwabian Käsespätzle is make it and then forget to record it. Alright. So for the second round, what we're going to do is grease up 2 ramekins with butter, or 1 depending on how big your ramekins are. You can also scale this up and do it in a casserole dish if you want to serve a lot of people, say 5 or 6. And now since we're doing 2, we'll measure out roughly 1/4 of our Spätzle into the ramekin. If you end up having more Spätzle, do 3. It depends on the size of your ramekin or your dish. And how much you actually make, so just try and make a judgment call on that. And then I'm putting in, I decided to use Swiss cheese in the end, so a few slices, small slices of that. You can also use the cheese sauce if you have some of that left over, and then some of our onion and salt. I'm going to top it off with some high melt as well. Salt, and then that one's finished. Do it again for the other one. Alright, these are all ready to go in the oven at 205 degrees for about 10 minutes. or until the edge of the cheese is kind of brown and crispy. Done. Was that a bit aggressive? Oh well. Here it is, guys. Our finished Spätzle queso Spätzle. I'm never gonna learn. So you can see it's all melty and nice and a little bit crispy and brown around the edges there. Looks great. Let's see how it goes. Molten cheese. What could go wrong? I mean, it's just cheese and onion and pasta. Like, what's not to love? There you have it, guys. 3 ways to make Spätzle. Thanks very much, Swabia. Great stuff. I really hope you guys have a crack at this one at home. It's pretty basic once you work out how to make the Spätzle, whether it's probably with your colander, I would guess. But yeah, if you're enjoying what you're seeing this month, please chuck us a like and a subscribe, and I don't know, even if you don't like it, comment down below. You smell. Take it easy. What do you reckon? We've got to work on the sign off. Anyway, forgot to record that bit as well at the end, and luckily I realised it's just the oven, so that's okay. I think it's done. Gang.